Welcome to This Explainer, the Cobbler of Souls, Victor's Art of Moving Forward. All right, let's just jump right into this. Today, we're unpacking a truly fascinating story from Gravonix Stories about a man named Victor. We're going to explore how an elderly cobbler proved that the simple, everyday act of repairing worn-out shoes can actually be this profound mechanism for mending a person's spirit. It's just a brilliant look at how physical restoration can mirror emotional healing. So, you might be wondering, how can a worn-out pair of shoes actually change someone's life? I mean, in our modern world, we usually just toss old shoes in the trash without a second thought, right? They're totally disposable to us. But our focus today is on a guy who fundamentally rejected that whole idea. Victor believed that every single pair of shoes, and by extension, every single person wearing them, had at least one more journey left in them. And as we're going to see, sometimes it was the people wearing the shoes who were in desperate need of repair. Section 1. The Little Shoe Shop. Okay, picture this narrow little corner down on Maple Street. There stood a tiny, unassuming workshop marked by just a simple wooden sign reading Victor's Shoe Repair. Before the sun even came up, Victor would be there unlocking that old door. If you walked inside, you'd immediately hear the soft ticking of old clocks and smell that rich, earthy scent of leather. You'd see the most basic elements of his trade lying around: needles, thread, polish, and immense amount of patience. Now, to anyone just walking by the window, it looked like Victor was simply fixing shoes using these humble tools. But actually, Victor was secretly operating on a much deeper level. He was in the business of restoring human confidence. Section 2. Repairing broken confidence. To really get how Victor worked, we've got to look at his actual day-to-day interactions. Take this young runner named Emma. She comes into the shop on a rainy afternoon, carrying her running shoes and just carrying this incredibly heavy heart. She drops these muddy shoes on the counter, lets out a massive sigh, and declares they're ruined. Physically, sure, the shoes were a total mess, but internally, she had completely given up on her training. But Victor, he offered this vital reframing. He looked at them and told her they're tired, not ruined. He literally saw her emotional state reflected right there in the canvas of her footwear. While he worked on the repair, Emma opened up and admitted she had just given up. That's when Victor handed the shoes back and dropped this absolutely profound piece of advice. He said, shoes only move when someone chooses the next step. You know, that wasn't just small talk. It entirely shifted her perspective. It empowered her so much that, months later, Emma actually returned to that same little shop, proudly wearing a marathon medal around her neck. Section 3. Healing invisible wounds. Now, Emma definitely wasn't an isolated case. Take this overworked businessman who rushed into the shop in an absolute panic because his expensive leather shoes got scratched. As Victor was working on them, he noticed the guy just couldn't stop checking his phone, frantically pacing and saying he didn't have time to slow down. So Victor pointed out a universal truth. He said, even shoes wear out without rest. He directly connected that scratched leather to the man's constant, non-stop rushing. And you know what? That simple, grounding observation really stuck. A year later, that same businessman returned to report he had finally taken his first real vacation in 10 years, telling Victor, "My family says they have me back." The crazy thing is, the impact of Victor's work wasn't just immediate. It literally rippled across generations. It started with a young boy living in poverty who came in with shoes held together with actual tape. His mom apologized, saying they just couldn't afford new ones. Victor, acting out of pure compassion, repaired them completely for free that very same afternoon. Before leaving, the boy whispered that when he grew up, he was going to help people just like Victor did. Well, fast forward years later, and that exact same boy became a paramedic. And what do you think he did with his very first paycheck? He came right back and bought brand new tools for Victor's workshop. But hey, not all of Victor's work was about giving great advice. Some of his most powerful moments were entirely unspoken. Like this one evening, a pair of heavily worn military boots was left right outside the shop. No note, no instructions, just the boots, sitting there in absolute silence. Victor didn't ask questions. He simply took them in and carefully restored them. Weeks go by, and an elderly veteran finally walks in to claim them. He confessed he couldn't even bear to look at the boots anymore because of all the heavy memories attached to them. But when he saw the careful, loving repair Victor had done, tears just filled his eyes, and he said, "They remind me of my friends, but now they also remind me to keep living." Victor didn't offer any profound quotes this time. He simply placed a hand on the man's shoulder. It just goes to show that sometimes true healing requires nothing more than a supportive, validating silence. Section 4. Victor's Final Pair. After a lifetime of changing the lives of runners, businessmen, kids, and veterans, the time finally came for Victor to announce his retirement. 46. For 46 years, Victor unlocked that door on Maple Street. I mean, think about that. That is nearly half a century of compounding impact in ways that steadily, quietly transformed an entire local community. When he officially retired, an absolutely massive crowd filled the street outside his workshop. We're talking teachers, nurses, construction workers, students, athletes, parents, the whole shebang. And here is the beautiful part. Every single person in that incredibly diverse crowd was holding a pair of repaired shoes. They hadn't gathered out there because they needed a cobbler. They showed up because Victor represented a definitive turning point in their lives. Section 5. The lesson of moving forward. Right before closing up the shop for good, Victor had one final task. He repaired one last pair of shoes, his own. He polished them until they absolutely shined and placed them up on a shelf beneath a handwritten note that his young apprentice quietly framed for all future customers to read. This little framed note perfectly summarized his entire life's work. It said, "Keep walking. No road lasts forever, but every step matters." It's just a stunning testament to the quiet dignity of simply continuing to put one foot in front of the other, no matter how hard the journey has been. So what's the big takeaway for us here? Well, life is absolutely gonna wear you down. We're all gonna collect our fair share of scratches, scars, dust, and failures. It happens to literally all of us. But those marks, they do not mean your journey is over. They are evidence that you have traveled, not proof that you should just stop. Sometimes all you need isn't some giant dramatic leap, but just the courage to take one more faithful step forward. Never judge your future by the condition of your past. I'll say that again because it's so important. Never judge your future by the condition of your past. Just as Emma learned that her running shoes were merely tired, not ruined, we have to realize that even our most difficult seasons and worn-out shoes can carry us toward truly extraordinary places if we just let them prepare us for a stronger tomorrow. The source material from Gravonix stories leaves us with this incredible call to action. If Victor's philosophy resonates with you even a little bit, I highly encourage you to adopt this mindset right now. They ask their readers to comment and claim this phrase for themselves. I will keep moving forward. Keep moving, keep believing, and absolutely keep walking. I want to leave you with this final thought to chew on as we wrap up this explainer. Success doesn't belong to the people who never stumble. It belongs to the ones who always choose to stand back up. So, how are you going to mend your own worn-out shoes? And what will your very next step be today?